Near the Great Pyramid at Giza, Egypt, stands the enormous 4,500-year-old limestone figure known as the Great Sphinx of Giza, which is one of the most gigantic structures on the planet. The Great Sphinx is 66 feet or 20 meters tall and 240 feet, 73 meters, long. Each side is roughly 755 feet long at the base. That is longer than a football field. The Great Sphinx remains one of the most well-known remains of the ancient Egyptians till now, although the history and origins of the enormous edifice are still up for question. Even after decades upon decades of research, scientists still haven't been able to give us answers to the mysteries of the Egyptian Sphinx. In this video, we'll reveal to you the most interesting and some spooky discoveries that scientists have made inside the Egyptian landmark that will answer all your questions about the Great Sphinx. Stay tuned. Firstly, the who, when, and why of the Egyptian Sphinx. Scholars are still divided on who ordered the Sphinx to be carved and when it was completed. But they can all agree that it is an impressive piece. The Great Sphinx of Giza is more than just a representation of Egypt's past and present. It is a physical representation of history and mysticism. Poets, scientists, explorers, and tourists have all been inspired by it throughout the ages. Fundamental questions such as who built it, when, and why remain unresolved, even though it has frequently been investigated using the most cutting-edge scientific technology and addressed in specialized scientific conferences. Many ideas have been proposed to provide answers to these problems, but few of them fit all three criteria or are widely accepted. However, it is generally agreed upon by Egyptologists that the Sphinx was constructed under the rule of Khafre in the 4th dynasty of the Old Kingdom, when masons working on his pyramid complex decided to carve the Sphinx from a massive chunk of limestone, or were instructed to do so. It is constantly disputed why this was done and what function the Sphinx originally served. Besides, we cannot categorically conclude that Khafre built the Sphinx because there is no evidence or inscription on the statue to back the claim. Also, hidden under the Sphinx are some undiscovered chambers and tunnels. What enigmas might they conceal? Undertaking excavations beneath the main body of the Sphinx at Giza in 1998, Chief Director of the Supreme Council of Antiquities, Zahi Hawass, rediscovered access tunnels to several sizable, seemingly natural caves underneath the Sphinx. A hole that Howard Weiss drilled in the 1840s and that later came to be known as Perring's Hole is also present on the back of the Sphinx around 4 feet behind the head. Weiss drilled a hole 27 feet deep in search of chambers, but the drill rod got caught. He eventually gave up so as to not harm the Sphinx anymore. Between Thutmose IV's Dream Stela and the Sphinx torso, on the ground inside its paws, lied an iron trap door. There are many known tunnels, chambers, and holes in the gigantic edifice passageway. The origin of some of them have been discovered, while the origin of the others is still very seemingly unknown. On the other hand, the mystery of the Sphinx's face is widely believed to be Khafre himself, as represented by the visage of the Sphinx. However, the sculpture is severely wounded, with a fractured nose and a missing beard. Others claim that it resembles a lion's face, based on the assumption that the lion was a much more potent symbol of authority to ancient Egyptians than the human face. Others would almost swear that it's the face of Anubis, because the mane of the statue is not as full as that of a lion, and the crouch of the edifice is the spitting image of a dog's crouch. Another terrific discovery is the Hall of Records. In his mystical writings, Hermes Trismegistus, the moon god of ancient Egypt, described a vast library of knowledge. According to legend, there is a maze beneath the Sphinx's paws that leads to the mysterious Hall of Records, which is said to contain all of the fundamental knowledge of alchemy, astronomy, mathematics, magic, and medicine. Today's researchers still look for the library of knowledge. Is it true, or is it just a myth? It is common knowledge that throughout history, people have looked for a location that contains the solutions to all of their questions. So myth or reality, the Hall of Records is still a granite mystery. Many people who have seen the Sphinx have always wondered if the Sphinx's nose was always broken. Napoleon Bonaparte is the main character in the most well-known tale, in which cannonballs smashed the nose of the Sphinx. The nose of the Sphinx is thought to have been broken during one of the French military engagements, 1798 to 1801. However, according to an Egyptian Arab historian named al-Makrz, who lived in the 15th century, Muhammad Saim al-Da, a Sufi Muslim, the nose was destroyed. Because the nose seems to have disappeared long before the French emperor was ever born, this tale seems more believable. A close inspection reveals considerable chisel damage across the face, indicating a planned attack, possibly a case of iconoclasm or desecration of a religious object in the 15th century or earlier. Did the Great Sphinx have a beard? Scientists have answered in the affirmative. The Great Sphinx once had a beard, which was finally eroded off the statue's chin and is now preserved in the British Museum and Cairo's Museum of Egyptian Antiquities. Vassal Debrev, a French archaeologist, claims that the beard was added afterward and was not a part of the statue's original design. Debrev supports his claim by claiming that if the beard had been connected from the start, removing it would have caused hidden damage to the statue's chin. The British Museum concurs with Debrev's analysis and suggests that Thutmose IV's restoration work may have taken place at some point during or shortly after the addition of the beard to the Sphinx. Scientists have also uncovered the Sphinx's original appearance. Did you know that the Sphinx was initially painted? The Sphinx may have once been painted in colorful paint, even if it is today difficult to distinguish from the dull tan of its sandy surroundings. Scientists discovered remnants of red on the statue's face and traces of blue and yellow on its torso, both of which indicate that it was previously rather colorful than originally believed. You'll also be surprised to hear that the sculpture wasn't always named the Great Sphinx. It used to go by different names in the past. The enormous edifice was not first known as the Great Sphinx by the ancient Egyptians. The dream stela is described as a statue of the very great Khepri. Supposedly in literature from around 1400 BCE, a god appeared to Thutmose IV in a dream while he slept near the statue and informed him that he was Thutmose's father and that if he swept the sand from around the monument, he would rule over all of Egypt. Following this incident, the statue earned the name Horem Akhet, which means Horus of the Horizon. The Sphinx was known by many names given to it by medieval Egyptians, including bathtub and bilha. If it has so many names in the past, how old is the Great Sphinx, you might ask? Tradition holds that the Sphinx was constructed somewhere around 2500 BC, almost 5,000 years ago. But how did that time come to be? The most precise and scientific method of dating ancient items is carbon dating. Although it is ineffective on stone structures, the erosion patterns around the Sphinx also appear to be impossible to suit the existing data, according to a recent analysis. According to new evidence, the Sphinx could be older than 10,000 years if the erosion patterns around it are the result of water erosion. If it were true, we would need to rewrite history. The final discovery that we'll discuss in this video might throw you off balance. Brace for impact. Scientists discovered that the Great Sphinx was never really completed. Yes, it's hard to swallow, but it's true. There are many myths, legends, and secrets in Egypt. This famous monument is made of limestone and is the oldest monumental structure ever discovered in Egypt. It shows a mythical reclining sphinx. There are numerous undiscovered sphinxes in existence in addition to the ones mentioned above. However, most of them pale in comparison to the Great Sphinx of Giza in terms of size. However, several discoveries indicate that the Great Sphinx may have been designed to be considerably larger than it is now. Large stone blocks, toolkits, and if you can believe it, lunches that had been left unattended in the middle of a workday were found by American archaeologist Mark Lenner and Egyptian archaeologist Zahi Hawass. Whoever they were, they appeared to have quickly left their work. It's shocking to find that one of the most gigantic and famous historical relics in the world is an incomplete project. It leaves us to wonder what the Sphinx would have looked like if it was actually completed.